Growing up dancing with the School of American Ballet and performing the Nutcracker during the holiday season at Lincoln Center with New York City Ballet was so magical, and my favorite role as the kid, as one of the kid dancers that we did, was Polly Girl. It's Polychinelle Girl. She comes out of the Mother Ginger's huge dress, and I was the third girl for 2 years in a row, which was super fun. The costumes are so beautiful. We used to get our cheeks done, which we had little red circle paint on, because we are representing the dolls. We are coming out from Mother Ginger and doing our dance, and it's so much fun. It is the bread and butter of New York City. It's such a brilliant way to connect children, teens, and adults with the art of ballet in such a magical atmosphere where the music is so brilliant. The dancers are so excited with every step they make, and the audience revels in every performance. And it is a wonderful reminder to go to the ballet this holiday season and enjoy the magic of the Nutcracker. Yes, I think burnout, I feel like collectively we experience burnout, and then personally it happens according to kind of like our life path. I feel personally that once we have to kind of shift spiritually, we burn out physically, especially when I was going through burnout. I had danced my whole life, professionally performing, dancing, rehearsing every single day consistently. And then towards my last year of high school, kind of shifting towards entering college, I had to make a decision. Like, do I want to continue doing this professional dance? And I was like, but I love mental health, writing, coaching. I also started learning more about journalism. I was doing pre-med in psychology in college. So I was like, how can I integrate this? And can I even integrate this into dance? Because it was also a little bit overwhelming to have so many choices. So I was like, let me shift. And then I realized soon after I made the decision to kind of integrate mental health that I had a burst of energy coming. And I was like, wow, like I have newfound energy that I didn't really have before. And I was kind of lacking in that in my, high school days leading up to college, and I was slowly realizing after the fact that that was like burnout, but I didn't even know that. I didn't even have the clarity of that. I was just kind of felt stagnant, felt confused, felt a little bit kind of like in a slump. And I think at that point I didn't really feel aligned with my purpose or my happiness even. So I think that's the realization of burnout. And I think so many people experience burnout as something that's hindering them from either feeling like a pure sense of like joy and authenticity in what they're doing. And maybe that can be tied back to so many things, because there's a lot obviously when it comes to burnout, and there's so many different experiences and levels of burnout. But so often, like when me and my friends were talking about it, it would kind of be connected to some kind of unprocessed grief, whether that is childhood or that is some kind of trauma that happens, and that just stayed. And until we kind of had a conversation of what that was, we couldn't move forward, whether it was in our personal lives or professional lives. So I thought that was really interesting. And I started learning more about burnout and just how it really affects our nervous system and how we can become so reactive because we have burnout, but we might not even know that. So that's also so unfortunate that when we go through something so kind of intimate within our bodies, we're not even aware of what's happening so often. So I thought that was really interesting as well. In a way, and as a dancer, we are programmed at an early age to perform. So it's like how we sing, how we dance, we are like programming our body to, be perfect, to have the notes, to have the musicality, to be able to hit the mark. And then the undoing of that, it's kind of like to become aware of, can I not be perfect? What if I do it a different way, but it's not seen as perfection? But is that bad? It's like, because like I wanted to express myself in a different way. Like I wanted to dance out of the box of perfectionism, even though the discipline is beautiful and it's really wonderful. I think for a lot of kids to get into some kind of art, it's really beautiful. But yes, when you're going through adolescence and you're going through teenage years, you want to feel rebellious and you want to feel comfortable in your own skin. Oftentimes that means breaking the rules of perfectionism and, you know, the laws of dance. And yeah, especially now that I started doing more and more classes for kids that are not dancers and they're just starting dance, it's more so even about like the somatic of it, somatic therapy, feeling connected to movement without necessarily being so restricted like it is in dance and professional dance. There are restrictions, there are limitations, because they're creating a perfectionism kind of aspect for the stage, for the audience, and that's fine and that's beautiful for that specific, you know, space and time. But on a day-to-day basis, to have healing, to have the holistic being that we all are and that we all crave to want, we have to take into account, how do we feel comfortable moving or singing or talking or being. And sometimes that means allowing yourself to be messy and to be out of the box. So that's been a really interesting journey, and discipline will inspire motivation, but not the other way. It's like you can't always have motivation to give you discipline. I think discipline is hard, and obviously, like you mentioned, the restrictions are sometimes, kids are annoyed, they want to break the rules, but yeah, it's like it gives you the structure and the outline to create from. So I think it's wonderful to have that, but as long as it's not leading to, you know, like obsession and addiction to be perfect, because then kids and adults have to go through to unravel that and unlearn that if they're too obsessed with being perfect. Because I think sometimes we are raised in society that I think now there is a shift where we are being more accepting of the awareness not to build kids up into perfect little, you know, students, but to actually teach them the values of being authentic and showing themselves without having shame. I think that's a beautiful thing to incorporate into school, into just the lives of kids, because then kids are going to have an easier time to be accepting of themselves as well. It's hard to accept yourself, but when you're in a space where it's like you have to be perfect, obviously the kids are like, I don't know how to be myself, I have to be perfect. So when kids are so focused on perfectionism constantly, they have no space to even feel comfortable with understanding the first steps of, you know, discovering yourself. So yeah, it's a beautiful balance that I think we need when it comes to discipline, and also allowing kids to be fun and silly and creative and authentic without shame and without so much judgment about that.